Halo, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Riza khofifah. Today, this video will talk about the material, contrastive and error analysis, which entitled Definition and Delimitation, the first chapter of Errors in Language Learning and Use by Carl James. The outline of this presentation are human error, successive paradigm, interlanguage and veto on comparison, learner and native speaker, the heyday of error analysis, mounting criticism of error analysis, and data collection of error analysis. Before we start our presentation, let me remind you that in this chapter, we focus to contextualize error analysis. First, historically, showing the course of development of ideas about learner less than total success in foreign language or second language learning. Second, by looking at error analysis as a paradigm or approach to a field of study and seeing how that one of several options relates to alternative option. First, we have human error. Homo sapiens is also Homo loquens, and human's wisdom is a consequence of their gift language. Error is likewise unique to humans, who are not only sapiens and loquens, but also Homo errans. Language error is an unsuccessful bit of language. Error analysis is the process of determining the incidents, nature, causes, and consequences of unsuccessful language. Successive paradigm. Error analysis is the core of linguistics. It is a branch not of linguistic theory or pure linguistics, but of applied linguistics. According to Corders, 1973, there are 4 orders of application of applied linguistics, but only the first 2 of which will concern us here. The first order is describing language. In the applied linguistics of foreign language or second language learning, there are 3 codes or languages to be described. First, target language. This is particularly useful label in the way it suggests teleology. It includes the learning setting themselves goal. No willingness, of course, there is no learning. Second, interlanguage. Term suggesting the halfway position it holds between knowing and not knowing the target language. Third, mother tongue is one of the language that involves in the foreign language learning operation. The second order is comparison. Moving on to the second order application of linguistics, which is comparisons, we can compare the 3 mother tongue, interlanguage, target language pairwise, yielding 3 paradigms A, B, and C. Both A, contrastive analysis, was the favorite paradigm for studying foreign language or second language in the 1950s and 1960s. This analysis compares between mother tongue and the target language and make prediction about possible error learner make to their first language influence. B. Error analysis. This paradigm involves first independently or objectively describing the learner interlanguage and target language itself. In error analysis, mother tongue was not supposed to enter the picture. All error could fully describe in terms of the target language. Transfer analysis is a procedure applied in the diagnostic phase of doing error analysis. Transfer analysis is something salvaged from contrastive analysis and add to error analysis, and the balance has shifted. Interlanguage and the veto on comparison. The interlanguage hypothesis propounded by Selinker 1972, its distinctiveness lies in its insistence on being wholly descriptive and eschewing comparison. This term was used by Selinker for the first time, which has meaning the type of language produced by second language and foreign language learners who are in the process of learning a language. Interlanguage is what the learner says. Interlanguage is only half of the error analysis equation. Interlanguage studies concentrate almost exclusively on the description of interlanguage. Learners and native speaker. Early work in foreign language learner, error analysis was taxonomic, which means it concentrates on the collection and classification of errors. The former has to do with attitude and standards. By contrast, early native speaker, error analysis was more interested in identifying cause and system. The latter has to do with clarity, economy, and expressiveness. The two approaches appear to have coexisted side by side for some time with little or no cross-fertilization. Frey and error analysis. 1. He suggests we can talk of errors in terms of deficiency. 2. He discusses the connection between rule of grammar and the laws of society. 3. He relates error to linguistic change, which is reversible, distinguishing linguistic change from linguistic revolution, which is irreversible. He quotes the perceptive observation of Claude Bernard, which said the pathological is merely exaggerated normally. Next, the heyday of error analysis. By the late of 1960s, error analysis had become the acceptable alternative to the behaviorism-tainted contrastive analysis of the 1950s. Error analysis currently appears to be the darling of the 70s. Speed Corder first revived and then abandoned error analysis in his seminal 1967 paper, The Significance of Learned Error. He made 5 crucial points. 1. We should look for parallel between first language and second language learning. 2. Errors are evidence of the learner's inbuilt syllabus. 3. Errors show that first language and second language learner both develop an independent system of language. 4. Errors should be distinguished from mistakes. 5. Errors are significant in 3 respects. They are, first, they tell the teacher what needs to be taught. Second, they tell the researcher how learning proceeds. Third, they are means whereby learner test their hypothesis about the second language. The 3 principal causes of learner foreign language errors are redundancy of the code, unsuitable presentation in class, several sorts of interference. The organization of errors. Errors are categorized into the following 6 types: causal, auxiliary, passive, temporal conjunction, centennial complement, and psychological predicator. This organization reflects the main preoccupation of early transformational generative grammatical syntax. Mounting criticism of error analysis. The heyday of error analysis was short-lived. Idiosyncratic dialect is a special sort of dialect. Corder used two further arguments against calling the learner idiosyncratic erroneous. First, he objects that to do so is to prejudge the explanation on the idiosyncrasy. Second argument is aimed at those who call a learner's sentences ungrammatical. This is wrong, since they are grammatical in terms of the learner language. Other more criticism of error analysis said by Bell. Bell refers to error analysis as a recent pseudo-procedure in applied linguistics. He attacks error analysis for its poor statistical inference, the subjectivity of its interpretation of errors, and its lack of any predictive power. Last one, the data collection for error analysis. Error analysis has never been abandoned but has rather lain in the doldrums, perhaps waiting the signal to play the main. There are two steps in error elicitation. First, broad trial. The purpose of it is to gain a first impression of the learner's capacities and limitations. Second, targeted elicitation, which corresponds to analytical elicitation. To target means to make decisions about the levels and systems of target language to be sampled. This performance will be a mix of right and wrong, non-deviant alongside erroneous. The point is that error analysis has traditionally based itself on such performance data. As Linker puts it, the utterances which are produced when the learner attempts to say sentences of language are the main source data for error analysis. There have been attempts to systematize the different methods of data collection: A. Observation studies, and B. Experimental studies introspection. Introspection means getting the learner cooperation in order to discover what is going on in that black box, which is the language learner's mind. Sort of introspection, there are learner diaries, intuition, and preference. The form of introspection of the part of foreign language learner that is now most widely practiced in foreign learning research is the protocol, which is usually oral report rendered by a learner. And there are three types of report. First, self-report, which is collection of generalization about oneself as a learner. Second, self-revelation, which involves spontaneous stream of consciousness. And third, self-observation, lies somewhere between self-report and self-revelation. Okay, that's all my presentation about definition and delimitation. I hope all of you understand and enjoy my presentation. Thanks for your attention. See you in the next video. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.